Junkyard put his log stakes and his headache rack on there, so hang with me. Damn it, I didn't get close enough. Goes the other way, don't it? Does it go that way? This ain't gonna work. What if I just pick them up? What if I just pick them up with my tongs? Alright, y'all didn't get to see very much of that. There might have been a few bad words said, and I didn't want everybody to hear the bad words. But me and Junkyard and Joanne Big Mama Ancient finally got them all put in there. Got his headache rack on, got his log bolsters on. And the log bolsters are about perfect. They hold the wood good, and there's times I wish the stakes were a little taller, and then there's times where I don't even fill the truck up all the way. And this is going to be a situation where I don't even fill the truck up all the way because, let me zoom out, because Junkyard's going to be skidding. Well, he's going to be hauling so close. You can see the knuckle boom up there underneath my grapple. He's not, and the reason why we're doing this is because this landowner's property is really nice, his yard's really nice and groomed. So we're using the dirt truck, what we call them tiny. We're using tiny on this setting right here just to keep his yard looking nice. And we got a real nice fence. He's got a real nice, hang on Junkyard. We've got a real nice cattle fence and everything else. So in order to keep everything nice, that's why we're doing it. But we're gonna have a longer haul with it on the back end of this job, and it's gonna work out later on. No, I'm just gonna throw them on you. Yeah, I'll show. But I can throw them up. But it'll work out better in the end. When we get back here further away from it, I'll be able to load him a lot harder. And I'll do a video of that too. Alright, I want to try to give you a quick rundown on what we got going on with this setting here. This footage is pretty old footage. I've had it saved in my editor. Back whenever I first got this new phone, so sometime in June, the beginning of June, I think is whenever I threw the temper tantrum and I lost the old phone. So this is pretty old footage, and I ain't really went through the editor a lot on it to see what I'd had edited up back then. But I know that the fence coming out of this guy's cow pasture was an issue, so that's why I'm trying to stick the long wood close to me as possible. That way when Junkyard makes the swing out of there to make the left the wood has enough time to follow him out of the pasture without knocking down the guy's gate. That's becoming an issue with Tiny versus using a grapple skidder. I've had a bunch of people get a hold of me and say, well, at least you're not skinning up the roots on other trees now by using Tiny. Well, you're not skinning up the roots, but now what we're getting into is some of our skid roads has such a hard bend in it or a turn that I've got so much long wood hanging out of the back of Tiny that it's now slapping trees 20 feet in the air versus dragging on the ground and skinning the root system up, if you see what I'm saying. So in order to knock the guy's fence down, I'm gonna have to stick that long wood close to me until I get enough wood in Tiny to elevate it up above the fence, and then I can go back to putting my long wood on the top, and then my saw logs back up on the headache to counter lever holding the wood in the bed, if all that makes sense. And this job here was a big job, and it had a lot of big wood on the back side of it. We had to cross this guy's levee of his pond in order to get Tiny and the situation and everything to work out, which worked out great, because if we would have used skidders on that, we would have tore the guy's pond levee up and everything else. So in order of using Tiny, it worked out pretty good. Nothing got drug across his levee to tear his levee up. So we ended up having to mat the edge of this guy's pond, and we actually drove Tiny out in the guy's pond, the whole width of Tiny. And Tater's got video of that. If anybody wants to see that footage, I didn't get any footage of that. I was too busy bucking up wood at that time. But I do know that Tater got some footage of Tiny floating across that pond. So go on Tater's channel and start picking his brain to edit up the footage of where Tiny come across the pond early this summer, and he'll know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of that job that we had used, but he'll know what you're talking about when you say something on that. And other than that, this here's been fast forwarded because I didn't want to bore everybody to death with just loading Tiny. But leave me likes and comments, and I'm going to get off here and let you finish watching this. The good part's about to come. I love this intro and outro on this thing. Later on, everybody, stay safe and stay productive.